Welcome back to our podcast, where we weekly talk about movies of varying quality, which you'll probably notice today. But today is a special episode. Today I'm joined by my friend Haley, also a fellow film student. Haley is covering for Ryan today as he is out of the country.
Loser.
Um, yeah. But yeah, today is gonna be a behemoth one, like the first episode, because we're gonna talk about not one, not two, but three different movies. As you might be aware, the new Snow White is coming out, or I think actually it just got released.
Like this
And
week, I
so
think.
yeah, and so we thought we would take a look back and through the Disney remakes that they've done. Um,
Hot
so
topic.
yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll just go in like order of release. I think that yeah, that's
I
probably the.
think that's a good, yeah,
I mean,
good
yeah, we
vibe.
we both have a lot to say about Mulan, and that's probably going to take up
I
most
feel
of.
like, yeah, we should save that for last.
Yeah,
Worst for last.
but yeah, so today we're talking about Alice in Wonderland from 2010, directed by Tim Burton, and then The Jungle Book from 2016, directed by Jon Favreau. And then lastly, but not least, Mulan, which I'm trying to remember the name of the director. It's Nikki something, Nikki Caro. I think
Yeah, I
that's
think you're right.
yeah, Nikki Caro. I don't know how to say her name. Sorry. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I guess first, which one was your favorite? I know which one was your least favorite, but which one was your favorite of
Mm.
these three that we watched?
That's a good question. I like Loki, cause like for me, The Jungle Book was never my favorite growing up.
Mm.
And I kinda liked Alice in Wonderland, I don't know, I if it's funny because I opened Letterboxd after I watched it, and I was like, people don't like that very much. People were, like,
Not
making fun
really,
of
no.
it and said that it looked really bad, but I, like, kinda liked how it looked, and I guess that's not a popular opinion.
I It doesn't look as bad as some of the other ones.
I
I
agree, and I think it kinda leaned into its style, and I also kinda liked that it wasn't really like a remake, it was kinda like a
Yeah.
live action sequel. It was
I
kinda
mean,
fun.
I think it's labeled more as like a reimagining of
Mhm.
the Lewis Carroll story, because it doesn't really have anything to do with like the original like 1957 movie.
Yeah,
It,
it's just kinda like she was there before, and this is what's happening now. I did like The Jungle Book too, though. I feel like they're pretty tied because like, I enjoyed them a very similar amount,
mm,
but which one do you like the best?
I think overall the Jungle Book is a better movie. Like the Jungle Book was the only one that I didn't feel like it kind of overstays its welcome or is, you know, incredibly inferior to the original one. Like it
Mhm.
changes some things from the original kind of like to give it a slightly longer runtime, but none of those changes like actively offended
Ruin
me.
it.
Like
Yeah, I agree.
and it's different for me too cuz I had never seen the original Alice in Wonderland. Or I hadn't seen it all the way through, like, I'd seen bits and pieces, but with The
Right.
Jungle Book, that was one that I actively remember having watched a lot, and so that one it had a it was on a bigger pedestal for me, and so the remake had a lot to, like, live up to, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's also, like, I guess what changes people's mindsets when they go into watching these is, like, how much you liked it, like, as a
Yeah,
kid, like, how close it is to your heart.
mhm,
Um, yeah.
and I mean, I kinda grew up watching the 2010 Alice in Wonderland, 'cause the original was, like, one of the few Disney films that I didn't own on VHS. And so I was able to constantly, like, rewatch, like, The Jungle Book, Mulan, Lion King, that kinda stuff. Um, but the 2010 version was the one that I saw the most of because I had it on DVD. So that one
Mhm.
I remember enjoying it when I was younger and when it came out.
Me too, cause I was telling you when you said you picked this one, I was like, "Oh, I remember seeing that in the theater, but it's been, like, a really long time." And when I was watching it just now, I was like, "Whoa, I remember watching this in the
Mhm.
theater." I remember liking it, like, as a kid at least.
Yeah. I think it holds up decently well. I mean, I don't know if I'd say it looks horrible. I
It's
it is
almost, like,
weird 'cause
campy.
yeah, I mean, but it's a Tim Burton movie, so
Yeah.
I feel like it's wrong to say, like, you shouldn't expect it to look like that, but it is weird
Yeah.
if you've grown up watching the original one and you have that sort of, like, really colorful, cartoony, like, style in mind, and then you go and watch the Tim Burton like, there's cartoony elements in it, but,
Mhm.
it's very different from in terms of look from the original,
It
and
is.
I don't know, I think my main problem rewatching Alice in Wonderland is that it kinda gets lost in some of, like, the fantasy like, tropes to, like, give it a longer runtime.
Yeah. There were some parts where I was watching it where I was like, "Okay, we're kinda, like, dragging here."
It happens more towards the end because
Mhm.
we've gone through all of, like, the original stuff, like, you know, she eats the cake and, gets small and, meets all of the original characters, and then that's where I really felt it, where I was just like, "Okay, this is, like, just like another, like, kinda, like, fantasy adventure story," and it doesn't quite gel if you're more familiar with, like, the original because it's not what it is, and it's not what it's about, um and it kinda loses you a bit because it's just like, what even is this? Why is there just this massive, like, army versus army, Alice versus dragon or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, I guess, less childlike. I guess it's like a
Yeah.
children's remake. It's not necessarily because I did watch it as a kid, but I feel like it's like more adult in a way.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's trying to be like a spiritual sequel to, like, the
Mhm.
original. Like, it all of that stuff is supposed to have taken place, kind of, obviously certain things are recontextualized, and I it didn't bother me, but having finally, like, watched the original all the way through, I can see why parts of it don't work as well as it should.
Yeah.
Um, there's things I like about the movie, like, the CGI for the most part is fine.
It is, and low key, like, I I enjoyed the production design.
Mhm.
I was looking at all these reviews of people beating it up about how bad it looks, but I thought it was kinda like I liked it. I thought it was kinda cool. It was kinda like a dark storybook. I
Yeah.
also loved the costumes. The
Mhm.
costumes were good. I really liked them.
Yeah, I think, like, it's definitely, like, a visual, like, treat, in terms of the design of everything. I like the new design of, like, the Cheshire Cat, he
Mm.
looks really good to me. He's kinda got this, like, weird kinda, like, creepiness to him, but at the same time, he's also kinda charming,
Yeah.
and that's kinda how most of the characters are. The only one that I can't really get over is um, the knave, Crispin Glover's character. Uh, he looks really weird because he's just got massive floating head vibes the entire time, and that's one of the few characters where I don't think it works, and I'm not sure what the decision behind making him, like, just CGIing his entire body was. It doesn't look right in motion to me most of the time.
Yeah, that was kinda, like, strange.
Yeah, but yeah, I like the way that they did, like, the queen, um
I do too.
and, you can't really go wrong with a little Helena Bonham Carter,
It's true, she ate that up. I
yeah.
forgot Anne Hathaway was in it when I went to go
I
rewatch
always
it.
forget she's
I
in
was
there
like,
too.
"Anne Hathaway, what are you doing here?" Like,
I
it's just funny.
It's funny because while I was watching it, I was like, "This reminds me of another Disney movie that I saw," but for the wrong reason, or like, in this movie, it didn't bug me, but in that one it did. Have you ever seen that, awful Nutcracker movie that they did.
Oh, I haven't actually. It was bad?
Don't ever watch that movie. Honestly,
See,
I
that's also what I said about Mulan. I was like, "I'll never watch it,"
honestly,
and
that
here
one's
we are.
probably slightly worse than Mulan.
Really?
Um, but Keira Knightley is in it, and she's horrible. Like,
No, not Keira
she's
Knightley.
really bad. I mean, part of it's just it's equal parts the writing and equal parts the directing. Because I know Keira Knightley's a good actress, but it kinda had, like, the same vibe, but in Alice in Wonderland, Anne Hathaway's performance and character works for me, where Keira
Uh-huh.
Knightley's doesn't. Like, Keira Knightley's is just really cringe for no reason, and it's kinda
No.
similar with Anne Hathaway's, Queen character, but like, it makes sense in this world, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, cause she was doing that thing where she was kinda, like, like, she had all these things going on with her arms, and she
yeah,
was, like, floating across the floor and stuff, and when I noticed her doing that, I was like, "This is a little goofy," but then I was like, "I don't know, I guess it kinda, like I guess I, like, get the what they're going for here,"
yeah.
and it's like everybody kinda acts like that, so,
Yeah, I
like
just it
mm,
it di it every character has, like, their own, like, unique personality, and part of that's the writing, part of that's the acting, like, you know, we already kinda talked about Helena Bonham Carter, but Johnny Depp too. I know there's a lot of
mm.
people who don't like him in this movie as the Mad Hatter, but, I mean, I kinda prefer his version over the one that's in the original, and I mean, he's a bigger part of the movie here than he was, but
Yeah, and, like, honestly, like, I liked him as the Mad Hatter too, like, I thought he brought, like I don't know, cause like, in the original, I guess he's just kinda like a goofy little guy, but there's
yeah.
kind of almost like an empathy to him in this, like, you kinda like I don't know, I feel like you feel for him more as a character in
Yeah.
general in this one. I
Yeah, I don't
think he played a nice Mad Hatter, cause he's still kinda, like, crazy, obviously, but, like,
yeah.
in a different way.
And I mean, I know there's definitely a lot of research that went into sort of his performance as the character, and, like, him having different accents, him looking like he has, like, there was, like, this specific type of, like, poisoning that a lot of, like, traditional, like, hat makers would have. I can't remember what it was, but
Oh, that's
maybe if
interesting.
I can find it in here. I have, like, the Wikipedia pulled up. Where is it? Hold on. Mercury poisoning, that's what it was.
Mm.
So that's why his hair is orange, that's why he's pale. I mean, obviously, it's a Tim Burton movie, they gotta look pale, um but yeah, I mean, I like him. Like, he has, like, kind of abnormally, like, larger eyes than, um well, like, we all know what Johnny Depp looks like, and I think they, like, enhanced his eyes a bit to make
They
him look
definitely
slightly more,
did.
like, kooky,
Yeah.
I like the color of the eyes too. I mean, it also helps that, like, Johnny Depp's character is one of, like, the few, like, real, like, they actually shot that stuff for real, it's not CGI. But
Yeah.
I think even with the amount of, like, CGI stuff in here, it's integrated a lot better than, Mulan, let's say, for example.
Well, and, like,
Like,
man, the action scenes in Mulan, we'll save it, but, oh, I have a lot to say.
there's a lot of, like, the action in here is, like, a lot more clear. I mean, and it does and again, it
Well, and it's just smoother, it looks like they're
yeah,
actually doing it, you know? Like, it looks
yeah,
like they're actually in the like, actually, like, doing it, I guess. I don't know how else to phrase it, because in Mulan, it looked like she was not doing it. Like, some of the, like, movement was, like, so weird, and you
mhm,
can tell that it's edited.
yeah. But yeah, I think overall this I enjoyed watching this one. Like, it's not as good as I remember, and it's not as good as, like, the original, I'd say, but I can enjoy what they were trying to do, and,
Mhm.
like, I think, for the most part, all the performances work. I'm not really sure how I feel about the lead actress. I think for the most part she works, but there's a couple of line deliveries where I'm like, "Oh, that was a little awkward. Maybe you coulda used another
I
take."
get that, cause like, yeah, there was some of it where I was like, "Okay," but then I was like, "I don't know." Like, overall, she's good, and cause like, I was like, "Oh, didn't they make a second one of this?" And I
Unfortunately, they did,
Googled
yeah.
it, and I was like, "Oh, they did," and I don't know what it's like in that one. And
Have
I
you
don't know
not
if
seen that
that's
one?
I hadn't seen it at all.
It's
Cause
it's
by then,
interesting.
I would have been, like, 15 or 16, so
Yeah, I remember
I
that
was
came out,
like
like, a
Eh,
couple weeks before I got out of school, and I saw it, and I was like, "This isn't as good as the other one." Well, Tim Burton doesn't direct it,
interesting.
that's why.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't direct that movie, it was someone else. I don't remember who it was, but it wasn't him.
Oh,
And,
like
like,
James Bobbin? Who are
yeah,
you,
something like that.
James? Oh, oh, he did the Muppets movie, A Muppet's Most Wanted. And he also did, you know that Dora movie that came out in
Oh
2019?
god.
He did that, and that's basically all he's done.
That explains a lot. But yeah, you might wanna check it out. It's I've only ever seen it once. I don't remember,
Yeah, I
like,
would be
how
willing to
bad
give
it
it a
was.
try based
Yeah.
on this one, because this one was pretty solid, and honestly, what I can't say about Mulan is that I'd watch it again, but if, like, somebody was like, "Do you wanna watch this Alice in Wonderland movie?" I'd be like, "Sure, why not?"
Yeah,
It's,
like,
like, a
it's
very, like, neutral experience for me. It's fun
yeah.
enough, but it's not
Yeah,
so bad I would never watch it again.
I think that's its greatest strength, this movie, is that it's just kind of fun to, like, throw on and, like, maybe on, like, a rainy day or,
Yeah.
you're cleaning around the house or something, you just throw it on, be like, "Oh, yeah, we can watch this." It's a fun movie,
You don't gotta
there's
yeah.
there's a lot of good scenes in it, like the prison or the execution escape, like, that one's really fun to watch.
It
Um,
is.
trying to remember some
It's a
other
fun
ones.
romp.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, I guess the intro scene of her, like, when she first falls in, that one's really fun to watch as well.
I like that one.
Also, the soundtrack is fucking banging, like,
It
Danny
is, it's
Elfman is, like,
good.
on point in this one. I love the
He
soundtrack and the main theme too, like, it's
yeah,
easily recognizable, and it's also just, like, really fun to listen to.
yeah,
And
it's
it
a
does
good
have
one.
an Avril Lavigne song over the end credits, that's pretty good too.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that, I was like, "Sick, sick." It makes
Yeah.
sense that Avril Lavigne would do it too.
Yeah,
They
she's
knew
done a
the
couple.
vibes.
I like the one that she did for Aragon, even though that's not a good movie, but,
I never saw that one.
it's an interesting watch for sure.
I feel like I also, if I watched that
Maybe we
movie.
should do an episode for that when they do the Disney Plus, um, series.
Oh, they're making a series. I'm out of
Oh,
the
you
loop
didn't hear
on
about
that one.
that?
I was never, like, an Aragon person growing up.
Mm.
So
I saw the movie, I never read the books. I
but
mean, I've
who
read the books
knows?
now.
Maybe it would end up being maybe they would do more because, the Percy Jackson show
Great. It's a
bangs.
great show.
Like, it's a great show. So maybe if they do a Disney Plus show of this, it would be a similar
Yeah.
situation where they listen to the author and it's actually, like,
Yeah.
better. Because the Percy Jackson movies too, like, people did not like those.
I liked them when I first saw them because I'd never read the books and, I
The
like the
first one's
mythology.
aight.
Like, they're fun to watch as a kid, but,
Yeah,
revisiting
but,
like,
like,
when
yeah, and now that I know that the show, they can like, that's possible, like, why would you ever go back to the movies? And I liked Logan Lerman, but, like, he was just a little too old,
and too
and
emo.
yeah, like, that kid that played Walker Scobell, he's
Yeah.
so good as Percy Jackson, like, he is Percy Jackson,
Yeah,
he
I mean,
eats.
he's really sarcastic, and that's, like, kinda the key to
It's true, he's got that sassy little vibe about him,
yep.
like, he's perfect.
Probably one
Anyway.
of the only good things Ryan Reynolds has done in a while is,
Right? Find
um
that kid.
yeah, but anyways, we should probably get back on track.
Yeah, back
I guess,
back
yeah,
to this.
is there anything
That's
is there
about
anything
all
else
I
that
have to say about Alice in Wonderland,
yeah,
I
I mean,
think.
yeah, I
Which is
that
good.
one
I just have, like, nothing but, like, neutral, if not good things to say about it.
yeah, I kinda gave it, like, a 3 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, which kinda describes the movie. It's fine, it's watchable, it's entertaining at the least, which is more than I can say about some of these other ones. But
It's
let's go ahead
true.
and get into the good movie, which is The Jungle Book. I remember seeing this when it first came out. I remember liking it, and yeah, I don't really have very many issues with this movie.
I don't either, I had very little to write down about it. This was the first time I saw it,
Mm,
'Cause I don't know, like I said, I was just never a Jungle Book person necessarily, so when it came out, I was like, "Oh, I don't really have any personal stakes to go see that."
yeah.
But I thought that it looked good considering it was pretty much all CGI.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess that is
it
it is
was
very
pretty good.
similar to Alice in Wonderland in that vein that it is surprisingly decent looking. I mean, obviously the technology had grown and,
Mhm.
they did a lot of new things for this movie, in terms of, like, updating the technology, but I don't know, there was never there weren't a lot of moments where I was looking at it and I was like, "This looks fake to me," this or 'cause it's hard when you're trying to make everything look kinda, like, photorealistic while also having, like, something that was shot for real, like, which is just the Mowgli character.
Mhm. And I think too when you're, like, watching animals talk, some of your belief is, like you suspend your disbelief a little bit, cause like, you're looking at them and you're like, "Okay, the animals look pretty real," but then they start talking and you're like, "Okay, well, they don't have to look perfectly real, cause 'cause they're talking animals."
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I think this movie works over Jon Favreau's other Disney remake, The Lion King, because there's kind of a balance, like, for the most part, it's like, I'd say, 90% photorealistic, and then you've just got, like, those slight animations and, like, how they move and interact with everything that's a little more cartoony. It helps blend everything together because you can sort of have like you were saying that suspension of disbelief. Like, yeah, I know that they're animals, but and they can talk, but it's fine. And then the Lion
Yeah.
King is just straight photorealistic, and it's just like there's no character. They all just look the same.
Yeah. And that one, yeah, I didn't watch it cause I was like, "Man,
No,
that even live action at that point?" Like you were saying, it's like one
there's one
shot at the
shot. It's
beginning.
the sunrise at the beginning. That's the
Like,
only thing that they shot for real, and it looks good, I guess, but, everything else is just painfully average.
at that point, like, why would you remake it even? With this one, I was almost like, "Oh, why would you do it?" But, I can give this one a more of a pass than The Lion King, but you're right, because that was when they hit their bank with the remakes, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Well, let's do The Lion King then." This was kind of before that, because it's not like they were cashing in
I think
on,
this was
like, all these Disney remakes back then.
yeah, I think this was, like, the first, like, big success. I mean, obviously, und Alice in Wonderland did pretty good, but I think this one was one of the bigger ones, like, it was both a critical and commercial success, and I understand why, like, this movie is
It's
genuinely good.
solid.
The casting is pretty good, but the performances overall are pretty decent. I mean, obviously, there's a couple moments where, like, the child actor playing Mowgli kinda isn't all there, but, I
But he's a
mean
child, so
yeah, but I think
you're
for the
kinda
most
like
part, I connected to him as a viewer, and I actually cared about, the
mhm.
characters, and
Like, the cast was good. Like,
yeah.
overall, very good cast.
Yeah, I mean, the standouts for me are probably, Idris Elba as Shere
I
Khan,
was gonna say that, I was
um
like, low-key,
yeah,
Idris Elba? Whoa.
Bill Murray as Baloo, obviously, and then Christopher
Mhm.
Walken as, fuck, what's his name? King Louis.
King Louis? Okay, so I let's see, I was watching the movie, and I didn't really look at it before I
Mhm.
hit play. I was like, "We're just gonna watch it," and I can't remember anything about it when it came out, and, like, that was crazy. When I was like, "Oh, that's Christopher Walken," and then he was
Yeah.
singing. I was like, "What's going on?" And who else was I oh, yeah, Giancarlo Esposito. I was like, "You're
Oh,
in this
Zakila, yeah.
movie?" Yeah. Everybody was in it.
They're all doing pretty and even, like,
Yeah,
Scarlett Johansson as Kaa, like, she's only in one scene, but I
but
like
she
that scene,
she
it's pretty
kinda
good.
ate, yeah. I,
Yeah.
like, was like, "Oh, that's interesting," but it worked.
But, I mean, and then and that just kinda speaks to, like, some of the changes that they made that didn't bug me, like, it makes sense in my head that Kaa would be treated more as, like, a more, like, sinister type character than he's kinda goofy in the original. I mean, everything's goofy in the original, but Um, it makes sense. All of the changes they made to, like, sort of update it for, like, a modern audience made sense to me, and they worked. Like, I can't say that for a lot of these other ones because they don't work. and
Uh-huh.
they're done badly. But for this one, I liked some of the changes. The singing is kinda hit or miss, like, Christopher Walken breaking out into song in the middle of that
And I
scene
mean,
is a
he
little
wasn't
weird.
very good. I don't know if he was awesome at it. No offense to Christopher, I don't think he's a singer. That would
No.
be awkward if he was, and I was like, "He's not very good." Like, I can sing, but, like, for me, I was not, like, too it was kinda funny when he broke out into song because there are only 2 songs in the whole movie,
Yeah.
but I'll be honest, I can't remember if there are that many more in the original
There are.
Jungle Book.
There's a lot
Okay.
of singing.
Cause like, I couldn't remember cause those 2 songs that they sang are the only 2 I can fucking remember. Am I supposed to
The
curse? I just realized that I cursed. Is this a
what's that?
family-friendly situation?
No.
Okay, cool.
Are
Anyway.
you are you messing with the mic or
Oh, am I?
I don't know, I'm
Maybe it's
hearing,
this
like
big cord that's on it. Is this good now?
yes, sorry.
I think the cord got caught.
But no, yeah,
Let
you're
me
good.
make sure it's all good.
You can curse
Back
all
to
you want.
Christopher Walken. Okay, I just, like, I hadn't said a single curse word, and I was like, "Oh, I did not establish the boundaries."
No, you're good.
I
This
did
is
not ask.
yeah.
Um, but oh, yeah, those are the only 2 songs I remember from the original
I mean,
Jungle
I
Book
know
anyway.
there's one that like because in the original the elephants are like a marching patrol, and so
Uh-huh.
they have like a marching song. Um, sure, or the vultures, which aren't really in this version, but they're in the end of the original, and they like talk to Mowgli. They have like a song. Trying to remember if there were any others. Those are the ones
I
I can
do like that there
remember.
was singing, though. But yeah, Christopher Walken was a funny choice, but it
I
kind
think
of worked.
I think he works in terms of like having sort of like a menacing presence with his voice, but yeah, the singing kind of takes me out of it because it does kind of come out of nowhere. And I remember when I was watching it, I was like, I don't remember him singing originally, but they're playing like the orchestra in the background, and it doesn't match the tone of the scene. And I was like, I feel like he's gonna start singing, and then sure enough, he did.
That is what's interesting, I guess, about some of them is, like, they try and make them, like, more serious, and then, like, they're originally not very serious. That was kind of like I keep thinking about Mulan, but it was, like, taking all the music out of it, like, even though that was, like, half the original movie, it's
I
like
mean,
something vital is gone.
I think the thing about this version of the Jungle Book is that it is kind of a little bit more serious, but it's still
It
trying to
is.
be like a kid's film. Like it has a child protagonist still,
And,
and
like,
they're
it's
doing
still
like
kind of fun
yeah.
sometimes.
I mean, they're still doing things that are kind of like charming and kid like. Like I feel like a child would get a lot of enjoyment out of watching this movie, and
Mhm.
it feels more like a family film
It
than
does.
Mulan does or even like Alice in Wonderland does.
I agree. Even though there's, like and hey, in plenty of kids' movies, people get killed. Like, when they're I get that the wolf got, like, thrown. That was
I
crazy,
liked that
but
part because
yeah, it's
it definitely
crazy.
makes Shere Khan more of,
R
like
ruthless.
yeah, and it makes it shows us as the viewer that he's, like, really, really powerful and also that he's, like, willing to do anything. I liked his characterization here, and, in the original, they talk about him a lot, but he doesn't really show up until, like, the beginning of the 3rd act, and as much as I like him in that original movie, I think here he is a lot more, like, menacing,
Yeah, he's definitely scarier. The stakes are, like, higher.
yeah, and they give him more of, like, a motivation as to, like, why he cares that much about Mowgli being here, and I don't mean,
Mhm.
like, the stuff with his father, but, like, just that in general, like, he was, like, scarred, like, on his eye and whatnot, but yeah, I'm trying to think there's anything else about this movie that.
Yeah, that was mostly what I, like, noted about it. I
Yeah.
was like, I liked how they incorporated some of the songs, the CGI was good. Um, I liked that bit at the end where they all fight.
Oh,
I when he was like, "He's a real man now," I was like, "Yeah, so true." Kind of a weird commentary.
And I mean, in this one too, it does feel more like Mowgli feels a little more active, and
Mhm.
especially in that climax, it really is about him and his journey. Because in the original
Yeah.
one, it's a lot more like coincidental. Like, Shere Khan just kind of happens to be listening in on a conversation that Bagheera is having with one of the elephants, and then that kind of like sparks his interest, and then he just like happens to find Mowgli with the vultures, um, stuff like that. Um, and I don't know. And here it feels like some of it flows a little better. Um, but I do like that last bit because it is more, action adventure type, and I don't know. I feel like some of the moments land really well in this one too.
That's true, like, all of the action I felt was pretty, like, good and also smooth. I thought despite the fact that, like, nothing was real, like,
Yeah,
it looked like it was.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, what would you rate it over? Ryan and I do like kind of like the letterbox ratings type stuff for each movie.
For me, personally, when I rated it on Letterboxd, I gave it, like, a 3. I think you gave it, like, a 4 because I snoop at what
Yeah.
everybody gives it. For me, it's not because I like it, like it's not because it's less good of a movie, it was solid, and I
Mm.
liked it. Very middle of the road for me because, like I said, I don't know how much rewatching of it I would do because, like I said, for me, The Jungle Book, like, just, like, isn't my favorite, like, Disney movie ever, so that's mainly why, but it's solid.
I gave it a 4, just because
Yeah.
I think, I mean, for me, like a 4 is just like, oh, this is a good movie. 3.5 is like, oh, this was entertaining, and then 3
Yeah.
is kind of like, oh, this is whatever. Anything below a 3 is just it
It
starts to
was
get
not
worse
so
and
good.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I'll save it for the Mulan section. I'll save it. I keep wanting to talk about Mulan, and that's also, I guess, what sucks is we're like, yeah, it was good, but like, when something's bad, I feel like you just have so much more to talk about.
I mean, if we want to talk about like the good things, like obviously we kind of mentioned, it is like a modern update that, the changes I think help this version of the story, because obviously it is hard to go and to watch like the older ones and be like, oh, this is, paced a little weird. Like it feels like there's not a lot of build up or whatever. And a lot of the older Disney movies can feel a bit episodic. And so this one, like for these bigger, more modern films, they have to have like a more tight narrative.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell that John Favreau is having a lot more fun making this movie than he was making The Lion King, that's for sure. But I think it's because he
Yeah.
was allowed to like kind of make it his own. And then The Lion King was just like, they were just like, hey, can you like maybe do what you did with the Jungle Book and just,
Just do it
you know,
again.
copy paste here, and it just didn't work.
And I
Um,
think there's a lot of heart to this one, at least.
yeah,
Like a love for the story.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, I like Mowgli's journey in this one. I like that he gets to like do more like he's using his like human instincts like to make tools and stuff. That's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, that was a fun touch.
He spends a little more time with Baloo here, and their characters kind of like
That's what I was gonna
form more
say.
of an
I was
emotional
like, I
bond.
really liked Baloo in this one. I feel like like there was something different about him. Something,
Yeah,
and I guess that's kind of what you're afforded when you remake stuff like that is the ability to dive deeper into characters.
yeah.
Which is why when they don't, I'm like, that's crazy.
Fun fact: apparently, one of the neighbors of Baloo is voiced by Sam Raimi. I thought that was funny.
Oh, that is funny. Sam Raimi's just low key everywhere. He's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of, have you ever seen Shark Tale? with Will Smith.
Mhm. Yeah, a
Martin
long time
Scorsese
ago.
plays like the pufferfish.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, that's funny. I liked that scene where all of the little animals were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
Like when Baloo's like, you've never been as much of an endangered species as you are right now." That was funny. I
like this
liked that.
movie. I like the so like the new jokes in this movie are actually kind of funny. Like
Yeah,
there's
like that one got me. I was like, "That's kind of
yeah,
hilarious."
and I also I think what's funny is that thinking back to like The Lion King, when I first saw that movie, there was one joke that was not in the original that I actually liked in that movie. I don't
Mhm.
remember what it was. It happened like right at the very end, and it was between Timon and Pumbaa. That's
That's
what this
not
reminded
shocking
me
at
of.
all to me. Is that Timon and Pumbaa were the ones who
Yeah,
were funny.
but anyways, but yeah, I mean the visually it's good. I like a lot of the camera work. Like it's very
Mm.
dynamic. And sort of how they shot like him, running around in the jungle. Um, I like a lot of the quieter moments too, like where Mowgli's just kind of alone and doing stuff. Um, yeah, all around, I
Yeah,
think this
like
one is a pretty
yeah,
good movie. It's
it
definitely the
is.
best of the remakes, that's for fucking sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Yeah.
which,
There's less that's questionable about it. Are we ready to lay into Mulan?
we might as well.
It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get a little
This was your
intense.
first time watching it, right?
Yeah, I heard it wasn't so good. Well, actually, so when they were announcing that they were making it, I was like, I don't want to watch that because they took out all the songs, Mushu, and they also took out Li Shang as a character,
Hmm.
which we'll talk about. They kind of replaced him with a different character.
They replaced
But
him with two characters, which somehow is worse.
it's weird. Yeah, it
You
didn't
get less
work.
with more here.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Oh, all of those things that I loved so much about the original Mulan are being taken away." And I think also the actress, the like lead actress, didn't she
Oh,
have
Leah
like
Yusei.
yeah, didn't she have like a scandal or something? Like didn't she say something
Well,
crazy?
she tweeted about the Hong Kong stuff that was going on, and I mean, here's the thing. I don't even know if I want to talk about this because it's not like Snow White, which was kind of like doomed to fail because of the controversy. That so
Which
it
is
was like,
like a different sort of controversy.
yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I can't really say if that's how she really feels or if they just told her to say that.
We can just skip
Um,
over that part then. But
yeah.
all of those things that I heard, I was like, "Oh, I don't think that I," and also it was during COVID when it came out and they were charging you
Mhm.
$30 to watch. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
"I don't
remember
wanna
that.
pay $30 for not a musical that's all different." So, I don't know, and so then I heard it was bad. Then people who were watching it were saying that it wasn't very good. I was like, "Honestly, should I even bother?" So, this was my first time watching it because I was like, "I don't really ever wanna watch it." And so then but here we are.
Yeah, Ryan didn't wanna watch this either, and because when I think I might have said this before, but when we were planning which ones we were gonna do for the Snow White release, I mentioned Mulan, and he was like, "I don't wanna watch that again," and I was like, "Well, we're gonna talk about a good one and a decent one, so we gotta talk about a bad one." And we kind of agreed on Mulan. It's it's more painful the second time round with because I had seen
Mhm.
this once before when it came out, and now I've just seen it 2 times too many, and
Yeah,
because
you would
you watched Mulan first, and I was like, "I'm gonna watch that one last," and
I
you
knew
were
it
like,
would probably be the worst, so I saved it.
"Yeah."
I
You
got it over with.
you were kinda, like, texting me as you were watching it, and I was remembering, like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't like that about it either." And then I started watching and I was just like, "Ugh, why is this movie so long?" Like,
It's
it's such
hard
a
to get
drag to
through.
get through. This movie is an hour and 57 minutes too long. I'm sorry, but, like, there was I think in my Letterboxd review, I just said, like, the only time I felt any excitement in this entire movie was when Ming-Na Wen had her cameo. Like, that was it.
Yeah, right.
everything about this is so bland and dull, and I'm just like, I don't understand. I mean, I know why you decided to remake this, but I just don't understand why you did it this way. Like there were so many, and like the whole thing about like, oh, we, because that was the reasoning why they said, oh, Mushu's not going to be in it, and there's not going to be any singing, is because they were like, we want it to be more faithful to the original story, and it's like that's bullshit. Like
And it's
none
not
like
what they did either, like, it's not like I'm an expert on the original Mulan folktale, but, like, nothing about it felt like a folktale or, like,
yeah.
even like it respected Chinese culture at
Well, I mean
all.
that's the thing. It's like the Chinese people didn't like the original movie, and they certainly didn't like this one. And it just feels like this movie was made for no one, because it was marketed heavily as a remake of the original. You can see that in all of the marketing materials, all the posters and shit. And like they even use a lot of like the like orchestral versions of like the songs of that Christina Aguilera one specifically.
The reflect because I remember I
Yeah.
heard the Reflection instrumentals, and if anything, it just made me mad because I was like, "She didn't even sing the
Why are
song,"
you
because
reminding
that's
me of a better
also
movie?
yeah, because it was making me think of the original Mulan and also just, like, musicals in general. Because it's like,
Mhm.
okay, it brings up the question of why are things musicals? Why do we make them musicals? And when you write something as a musical, the point of the songs is to drive the story forward or tell you how a character is feeling. Like, the points of the songs are purposeful, and then when you take out all of the songs, it's like, okay, like I don't know. I feel like there's very something missing with none of the songs.
Yeah,
And
I
a lot
mean,
of the personality of the characters, like, you get through some of those music sequences, but they don't add in anything in that movie that replaces that, I guess,
yeah,
if
like
that
they
makes
they they
sense.
try to have
They
like
don't
some
make
of
up
this.
for not having the songs.
Yeah, they try to have some of the like original like lyrics worked into the dialogue, and it doesn't
That
work.
made me
Like
mad.
the scene that places the "Woman Worth Fighting For" song is it's so awful, and I'm just like, I sent you that video of me watching it, and I was just like, why is it
Yeah,
edited this way? Because
and it also
it
makes
reminds
me
me of that
mad.
fucking scene from, Bohemian Rhapsody where, like, they got clowned on for how many cuts there were in this one scene. It reminded me of that. I was watching it, and I was just like, "There's so many cuts for no reason," and the scene doesn't focus on what I think it should focus on, which is Mulan and how she's reacting to these characters' sort of, like, weird, way of talking about women, and, like,
Mhm.
it cuts to her once, and she only says, "I agree." And then before we have any time to react to anything, it cuts to someone else, like, making a joke, and it's just so awful, and I was just like, "This isn't funny, this isn't charming, it's just bad."
Yeah, like, actually, I have a lot to say about the whole, like, just like the whole, like, women and men thing, like, just, like, low key, because like, that song you were talking about that they originally sing, like, when
Mhm.
they're singing it as a song, it's, like, kind of goofy, and it's, like,
You're not
fun.
supposed to take it seriously.
No, and they're just kinda these dumb men being like, "I like how women look," and Mulan's like, "Ha ha ha, how about, like, women with brains and honor and stuff, huh?" And
Yeah.
it's, like, kinda funny because 'cause they're all singing, but then when you take away all of the singing, it's a bunch of men sitting around a table talking, like, objectifying women in, like, a nasty ass kinda way, and then the minute
Yeah.
that Mulan is like, "I like women who can, like, be brave and honorable and smart," she gets, like, bullied low key by
Yeah.
all the other men at the table, and it doesn't come off as funny or fun. It's like
It comes off
it,
as
like, kind of
misogynistic and
sucks, yeah.
sexist.
I would actually
They're like,
argue
"I don't
that,
like these characters."
like, low key, the movie actually is, like, kind of, like, just, like, more sexist than it
Yeah.
was before. Not that the original I think is like super sexist or anything. This movie is just like low key. Like I was watching it and I was like, this is kind of like, cause like the whole idea, this is a whole other can of
Who wrote
worms, the
this?
whole chi thing.
Oh, don't even get me
That
started.
when that happened, I had to Google who directed it because I was like, ain't no way. a Chinese person did this, and I had to Google who wrote it, and lo and behold, it was a team of white people.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Um, I do not claim to know what any of this means culturally, like in China.
Yeah, neither do I. I
But at
am
the
not
same time, like,
Chinese.
this feels to like, the whole chi thing doesn't make any sense in this movie, and
No.
I don't know what it actually means, like, in, like, Chinese mythology or whatever, but I've heard that name, I've heard chi used in, like, other movies before, and it just speaks to how little Americans know about anything, that chi is normally just, a filmmaker slapping on a Band-Aid for, like, plot holes. But then
Yeah.
when you look at the bigger picture, the chi itself is just a massive plot hole because the movie doesn't explain how it works, and
No.
there's no consistency in how it works because we're told that Mulan has strong chi, but we're also told that that witch character has strong chi, but the witch character does things that Mulan never does, but then other characters also do things that Mulan does, and it's just never explained, which is why it doesn't make any fucking sense. And again, I don't know what chi actually is, but I don't think it's this.
I just did a and this isn't obviously going to be like an extensive explanation of that topic, but just by a quick Google, it says that in Chinese culture, it refers to a vital life force or energy that is believed to flow through the body and the universe, influencing health, well being, and the cosmos. And like in Chinese medicine, like blockages in the chi lead to illness. Like various practices like Tai Chi aim to elevate and balance and harmonize the flow of chi within the body. So it's like life force and well being,
So
to my
nothing
quick
that's in this movie.
understanding. That has nothing to do with what we watched, and I'm sure there's obviously a lot more to that,
Yeah.
um, because you obviously can't explain it in 2 minutes, but a
I
baseline
just
seems to be not
listen.
the case. And also, they just bring it up so much. I also just like the fact that it's in the movie at all was
Yeah.
like weird to me because it was never in the original one. And it
Well,
bothers
because
me
Mulan's not
because
a Jedi in the original one.
yeah, well, the whole reason that Mulan can do stuff in this movie is they're like, well, she has more chi than other people can. And that's the reason that she, as a woman, can do as good as the men because she has the chi. And they're like, oh, don't like, but in the original movie, like, it has nothing to do with the chi. Like, she's already just as good as men. Like, she
I
just
just
learns to fight like a normal person and proves herself without having magical powers. And it
yeah.
bothered me that she had to have magical powers to like be on level footing with the men. And she wasn't good when she was holding back the chi. And then when she like let it go, I guess, then she was as good as them.
I understand what the intent was. I just it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense, and it ultimately like waters down the story because in the original, I my main problem with this whole like chi thing and her holding back is just that there's not really any conflict. Like the movie tells us that it's an issue, but I never get to really see that. And that was the thing that I liked in the original movie is that I saw her struggle to like do things and then I saw her overcome them, so it made me root for her as a character. And like the whole
Yeah.
"I'll make a man out of you" song that is like completely missing in here cuz like it all happens in that like 4 to 5 minutes that that song is playing, but it doesn't like make the movie worse because as a song, as a musical number, we're allowed to watch it as a montage and not really realize that it's a montage and that we're just kind of like skipping through a lot of stuff. But in this movie, it is just a montage and we are aware that we're skipping through a lot of stuff for no reason.
Yeah, and like they kind like I knew that was happening because he was like, "We're gonna make a man out of you," and I was like, "Oh man, it's gonna be that montage," but it wasn't like fun like the
No.
original one was because it's not like look, and I know some people like musicals, some people don't. I am a musical liker. I like musicals, and I think that that song in that movie is one of the most fun ones, and it just drains all the fun.
I don't like musicals. I
Mhm.
fucking like the original Mulan.
Yeah, it's like a fun movie.
It's definitely
Like,
better as a musical.
yeah, and, like, all of the, like, side characters, I can't even remember their names, like, all of the little friends that she makes, they're way worse in this movie. They suck, like, they don't have any personality. I remember them, like, struggling in the original, like, How to Make a Man Out of You sequence, and it's, like,
Yeah.
funny, and, like, all of them by the end of that sequence grow as characters, but I
Yeah.
feel like in this one, I didn't get that.
I mean, I guess they grow as people. We don't get to watch that growth. It's just like one
Yeah.
second they're this way, and then the next second they're not. Um, and I'll like, 'cause the moment where like, where do I even begin with this? 'Cause, most of it is nonsensical, and it just things don't, like, flow naturally from one scene to the next. Like, going back to the womanizing song that we were talking about, the Lady Worth Fighting For or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, that is a very important song because, 1, obviously, it's supposed to be silly goofy, but then right after that, like, as soon as that song ends, we see, like, that, like, burnt down village and stuff. It gets super serious. But in this movie, like, they walk through the village, but that moment, like, that shift in tone is kinda, like, missing because right before that, it's just, like, her going to, like, try to confess that which doesn't make any sense regardless, but she's going to go confess that she's a woman, and, like, he just misinterpreted it, or Donnie Yen's character, that's one of the people that they made Shang Li to be, um,
Yeah.
but it's just, like, I don't care about that conflict because they don't do anything with it. I don't care about her relationship with the general because he's just kind of like a nothing character. Like, what a waste of, like, these great actors, like,
It is.
Jason Scott Lee, Jet Li, and fucking Donnie Yen, like, they're all nothing characters. Jet Li has this, like, just bland, monotone voice the whole time. It's at which point, honestly, I wasn't sure if he was being dubbed or not. Um, and then there's no real motivation to why the villains do anything, and
The
then the
villains,
general.
I had a big issue with that too, cause like, the whole con look, like, yeah, they're the villains, but, like, I'm pretty sure, like, you rewatched the original Mulan.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it in a minute, but the opening scene of Mulan, isn't it like, the Huns?
attacking at the Great Wall.
Yeah. Why on earth did they not do that? That scene is pretty sick, and I feel like it builds up it builds up the conflict in a necessary way, but instead, it's just like, "Oh, look, Mulan's a child who has a lot of powers," and you're kinda just like, "Oh, well," like, I don't know, it's just like, cutting that scene didn't help, and, like, by the time you do get to see the Huns for the first time, you're like, "Okay." Like, they're really not that threatening. They're super threatening in the first one, but they're really not that threatening in this, and I also don't like, why add the I guess they added the, like, witch character to, like, have somebody, like, similar to Mulan, like, "Look, it's her foil," but that's not really, I think, a strong enough reason to, like, warrant
The
her
foil doesn't work
inclusion.
if you have to, like, write it out for us, like,
It's true, cause that's what they were saying. Like, Mulan's sitting there and she's like, "I would never be like you," and it's like, I don't need this. I don't need it
I was like,
slapped in
"I
my
know,
face."
the original Mulan would never have been like this."
Yeah, and, like, I also am like, "Why are we adding a female villain into this for no reason?"
Well, yeah, she doesn't do anything, like,
No.
they make a big deal about her inclusion, like, her involvement. Like, she has a lot of scenes with Bori Khan and, they have, like, some arguments and stuff, but at the end of the
And
day,
I
I'm just
think
like, "What is
she's
it
low
for?
key got more
What
screen
does this
time than
amount
him.
to?" Yeah.
Right? What's the
Honestly, I feel
point?
like it would have been more interesting if they made her the main villain, like, if she was Bori Khan, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like
If they were gonna change
anything other
it,
than this.
like, because it seems like they wanted to, but they were like, "Look, I don't know, we're not totally making her the villain," but, like, I don't know. it just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I just there's so many things that don't make sense here because like they tried to make this more of like an action film and it just does not work because the action is not good.
No, that was
And I
the
don't
first thing I wrote down about it. I
yeah.
wrote, "Why did all the action look so fucking bad?"
And I don't mean like the whole like I don't mean like the idea of them doing wire work. Like I've seen a few wuxia films in my time. Like I know what it's supposed to look like, and I know what it's supposed to look like when it's done good. It's just this is just shot so poorly and it's edited so poorly that they might as well not have done it that way because it just looks chopped up anyways.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to describe it, is it looks very choppy. It's
Yeah.
not, like, smooth, and, like, when you give your character all these powers that are like, "Look, she can do anything. She's so smooth at it because she's got magic powers," it doesn't come off that way when all of the movement looks so choppy.
Yeah, I just there were so many times where I was just watching and I was just like this because like I've seen other bad movies like Craven the Hunter that I saw recently. That's a bad movie, but at least the action's kind of fun to watch. Like
It is.
it doesn't mean anything in the long run, but at least I wasn't
No.
sitting there like, "Oh, this is really boring." Like, yeah, at least some of it's kind of funny to look at. This the whole time, just anytime there was any kind of scene that could have been going on, whether it was action or dialogue or anything, I was just sitting there just being like, "Why did you waste money to shoot this? Like, none of this is good. It doesn't." And it continues. Just every action scene doesn't make sense. Like the scene that kind of replaces like the mountain pass scene in the original one. That one is just so baffling to me because they do the avalanche thing, but they just do it so much worse. Like Mulan kind of like teleports onto the battlefield and she teleports away to get behind the catapults and she gets them to start it's just it's needlessly complicated and I'm just like I don't understand what's going on at all.
Yeah. And, like, yeah. I and man, I kinda don't I know that they're like, "Oh, we're trying to make it more serious," but, like, getting rid of Mushu sucks because he, A, is a fun character. He's kind of the comic relief.
Yeah.
B, there's a lot of scenes in the original where she's, like, talking to Mushu as, like, because he's sent by her ancestors,
Yeah.
and that strengthens the whole, like, ancestors bring honor to your family
Mm.
story. And she asks him for advice all the time, and it's kind of like she's in dialogue with them, but that's totally missing from this, and it just like I don't like it.
Yeah, I just there's Mushu was a pretty important part of the original,
Yeah, like
and
he's a
just
big character.
yeah, and I just I don't know, I guess he's just the biggest example of how taking that stuff out just completely reduces like the watchability and the heart of the film because it's just like you take him out and a lot of stuff is missing. Like you don't have those funny moments. And you don't have those tender moments either because he has a lot of like meaningful conversations with people and just
Yeah.
all of it is missing.
And I just like looked up a little bit of like why they chose that, cuz I was like what's the reasoning behind that? There was one thing I saw about how they were like, okay, we don't want to offend people cuz it trivializes Chinese culture.
So does
Valid
everything else.
criticism, but when you make a movie, when you remove him from the movie, and then you make a movie that's still trivializing Chinese culture, is
Well,
that really like
I can't take any of that stuff seriously because it's just like they say one thing, but then when you're watching the movie, it's like, well, clearly that wasn't the reason because you did it
because you're
here.
yeah,
You're
you're
still doing it.
trivializing it. Yeah, so like at that point you may as well have had the talking dragon.
And I'm like, I know that's not why you took him out. It's because you wanted it to be like a serious war film, I guess, but it's still not even that. Like, it's just nothing in this movie works. Like the whole time you're watching it, you're just like, I hate this. it's way too long. Nothing is happening, and none of it makes any sense, like how we get from point A to point B. Like even like her leaving and them finding out in the morning is so underplayed for no reason. I'm just like, I feel like this should be a more emotional moment than it is, and it's not portrayed in any meaningful way.
Yeah. Like the director also said that they got rid of Mushu to bring that, like the humor and the levity and all of that, to Mulan's real relationships with her fellow soldiers, which also did not happen.
Yeah.
Like
Unless they genuinely think that the scenes that
that's
they
what
share
that
together are
was.
actually, like, funny. Because there's another scene
Yeah.
right before the battle where they're in, like, that castle fortress, and she's, like, kind of trying to, like, um, I guess, inspire them and, tell them that it'll, like, comfort them. It's not good either. Um, and I just it's all of it is poorly written, and I didn't understand, like, why we were supposed to care about any of these characters or their relationships with each other.
I just don't like any of the cuz like I can't remember one scene with her and like the people that she was around that I enjoyed, and the only part that I guess that comes back around is when she's like warning them about what's going to happen and everybody's like I stand with her.
I hate that scene.
But then after that, like, there's really nothing that comes of her having bonded with all of those people in the first place, except for, I guess, the new love interest-ish, except they
I
don't
don't
really
even think that's
go
a love
in on.
interest.
I wouldn't really count it. I think that's kind of what like, it's almost like they, like, kind of did it, but not really. They didn't full send it, I
That's kinda
guess.
how most of this
Like,
movie is.
which was kind of a bummer because, like, I don't know, like, I just think that, like, I don't know. I don't know why they did that because, like, why even include the scenes where they're kind of like having a moment? Because I didn't really read it as strictly friendship. Because at the very end, he like looks at her and he's like, "I'll see you again."
That's so dumb though,
Like,
because like,
and then he doesn't
there's
come
more
back
to
at the
a
end.
love story than just giving each other goo goo eyes, like, and it comes too late in the
Exactly.
movie. Like, at least in the original one, like, yeah, they're like, her relationship with Shang-Li is not it's not treated like as a, like, a love story really, but you see them, like, bond with each other. And so
Like
at the
as
end, when it
people.
kind of becomes like that, it makes more sense that it could lead to that at the end of that movie than it does here, because
Exactly.
even though they have kind of moments together, they're not structured in a believable way. Because like, their first meeting, they get into a fight, and then they don't interact with each other until that moment, after they're objectifying women, and then he comes in and, like, tries to, like, comfort her and whatnot. But then the scene that they have after that, where they're bathing together, like, she's a dick to him for no reason, and it's just like, okay, well, I feel like it doesn't make sense that we've gone from, a good, like, tender moment to, like, this moment. Like, there's no build up, there's no motivation, and
Exactly.
then
Because I thought they were gonna go in harder on it when they have that moment when like. And I mean, not even necessarily harder, but it was more similar to the original when they were having that talk about, like, I guess, like women. And he's like, I don't know if women would like me. And she's like, I think they would. And he was like, aw. And I was like, okay, this is like fine. And then there's that scene. I was like, okay, I don't know. Because, like, I guess she's
yeah.
panicked and she's like, oh, I don't want him to find out I'm actually a woman. But I feel like that's not a because there's that scene happens in the animated one, but I feel like it doesn't come off necessarily that way. Because I
Yeah,
think the
and
others join them eventually.
I mean, well, he's not in with, or I guess the original character, the Shang Li, he's not in that scene with her, but the other 3 are, the 3 that she actually becomes
Yeah.
friends with. And that one's obviously played for more laughs, and this one is supposed to be, like, a more serious
Serious.
conversation, and it just doesn't work, because it's like,
No.
well, I don't understand why she's being so, like, mean about this right now, and and then it doesn't make sense going forward when they're supposed to still be like friends, and like she goes out of her way to save him, but then he doesn't have like a reaction to when he finds out that she's a girl, and then for no reason whatsoever he's just like, "Oh, I stand with Hua Mulan," and it's just like, why though? You guys don't know each other, like you guys have not
What?
done a single thing
I
to like befriend each other.
and well,
And
and even
they
when he
even
was trying to, he was like, "Will you come on? I know we kind of got off on a weird foot. Will
yeah.
you be my friend?" She's like, "No,
She's
I don't
literally flat
wanna."
out tells her tells him,
Yeah,
"I'm not
no.
your friend."
Yeah, and I was like, "That's kinda crazy."
And then on top
It's
of
just
that
so, like, weird and backwards, cause like,
yeah,
the point, I don't know, of that character in the first one is, like, they do build a strong relationship,
yeah.
and,
And but
like,
also, like, in the original movie that, like, them her him finding out that she's a woman feels like more of, like, a betrayal, like, for him,
yeah,
and it like, that's one of the more serious moments in the original movie, and it hits harder because it's like, okay, well, her secret's out, and people don't like it, and they kinda, like, abandon her, um, but his relationship with her still kinda shines through when he, like, spares her. And that, like, forges the conflict going forward when, like, they don't wanna listen to her, they don't believe her, that something's wrong, and then it, like, blows up in their face, but here, like, none of that's here, like, she outs herself, which is just dumb, but, um, she outs herself, and then she gets expelled, and that's the other thing, like, the stakes of all of this are, like, super low because in the original, it's like, "Oh, they'll kill her when they find out," and the only reason she survives is because he chooses to spare her. But in here, it's just like, "Oh, if you're dishonest, you get expelled," and it's like, "Okay, well, I don't see how that's supposed to be worse than the penalty being death for all the other things that could go wrong."
it's tr
And
and then
then
she's like, "Please execute me," and they're like,
yeah.
"No, I don't think we will, but if you come back, we will."
Yeah, and then she comes back, and it's just like there's I didn't see why there was a reason for her to come back because in the animated movie, they they think that they've defeated the Hun army, and then she realizes that they haven't, and so she goes to warn them. But here she kind of just goes back for like some reason. I guess she had a conversation with that witch character, and then it just didn't make sense to me like how quickly everyone was willing to like side with Mulan again. And they gave whoever her new love interest is, they gave him her line in the original one where it's like, you know, you trusted Hua Jun, why don't you trust Hua Mulan? And I'm just like, I feel like in the original movie, it hit harder when she was saying it.
Well, and also it doesn't even seem like you did trust Hua Jun. Like, the relationship wasn't built the same way in that movie
Yeah.
either.
And I don't know. I hate that scene because none of it makes sense. It follows an equally nonsensical scene, cause like set of scenes, and then it continues to be nonsensical, and then we just rush into like the final act, which is even like that entire action scene is just horrible to watch because I'm just like I don't see how this is supposed to be entertaining.
Yeah. I did some looking into why they made that change, like the whole Li Shang change.
Uh,
And apparently one of the producers said that because of the Me Too movement,
oh, yeah, I remember
he
hearing
thought
about this.
that having him be her commanding officer was wrong.
Or
And
uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah, having a commanding officer that is also the sexual love interest was uncomfortable, and we didn't think it was appropriate. And then like other people responded to that and they were like, but like even though like maybe they feel something to that degree throughout, like he doesn't do anything till after they're not in that position.
Yeah,
And I just don't, I don't know. I don't think it's like
it's not that deep.
that big of a deal. It's really not. And like cuz like obviously when I watch stuff, if stuff like that is wrong, I notice, but I really
Yeah,
don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, and like it's like I said, it's not like he's trying to like coerce her or anything or
Yeah.
do anything weird. And like I think that that character being her commanding officer like is important to a degree
Well, I
in
mean,
that movie.
there's other things to his character than just being her love interest too. Because like, in the original
Yeah.
movie, he's got a father and he's like a commander or a general or something, and, he's dealing with that, like, the expectations of, carrying on his own family legacy and,
Mhm.
being in charge for the first time. He has
And
his
that's
own
something they
character
can
arc.
identify with each other about.
Yeah, and he has a motivation. The general
Mhm.
character, Donnie Yen's character here, and then her other love interest, who they both were based on the Shang Li's character, they don't have any of that. They're nothing characters, and so whenever they're interacting with her, I'm just like, "I don't care. Like, you mean nothing to me, and you clearly mean nothing to her."
Yeah, and like it's like by making that choice, like it strips him of all of that backstory because they were like, okay, well, we'll just like split this one full fledged character among many different characters, and we'll take away his whole backstory, all of his motivations, and all of his intrigue, and see how people like it then.
Everything about this movie I just kinda hate, like, I can't even say that I like the main character because it's just she's nothing like the original, and I doubt she's anything like the folk tale that it's based on. And she just, I don't know, I just there's she it doesn't seem like, or the struggle that they give her is not interesting because they don't really expand on it in any meaningful way. And then by the end of it, I'm just left wondering why any of this happened. And, like, the production design isn't good either, cause like, I can't really tell, like, what any of it means, and then most of it kinda looks like, "Oh, this is obviously shot on, like, a set that they built." Like, it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like a lot of it felt very, I guess, like unreal. I guess, like if I could pick one thing to give it to them, I guess it's the costumes. I feel like I enjoyed the costumes sometimes.
I mean, I can't even really say that either, cause I it looks like stock, like, Chinese armor. I don't know, I didn't feel like there was any character
I
to
guess I less liked the armor and I more liked all of the like women's costumes.
Mm.
I guess is what I'll say. Like the armor, yeah. Like I wasn't really like paying cuz like there's not like you said, it's really not anything super like detailed armor wise. There was not a bit of armor that stuck out to me. It was more the women's
Yeah.
costumes that stuck out to me. Maybe it was cuz they were colorful, but I don't know. Those I suppose were the highlight.
Yeah.
But and then also like when I was watching the beginning, I was like I guess like the visual tone of the movie, I don't know why it was so bright.
I mean, yeah, you think the tone that they were going for overall with the story would be reflected in, like, the colors and stuff, but it's not.
Yeah, and like I just feel like I don't know. Any of the themes from the original were just either not well done or not present in this one.
Yeah, it feels like everyone who worked on this movie thought they were making a different movie.
Yeah. And oh my god, I was gonna oh yeah. I guess like one thing where I was like, okay, I liked their relationship with the dad. That was okay. I was like, the dad is very like I don't know. I thought that it was like nice that he cared about his daughters. That was the only, I think, relationship in the whole thing that I enjoyed. Maybe the only thing that touched my heart.
I don't know, I think we spent too much time with his character, and some of the transitions between scenes didn't really read well for me. And I already talked about, like, the moment when they discovered that she left, and I don't know, it didn't feel like they really cared in that moment.
No, not in that moment. I didn't like that scene. Like, I think, uh, I think some of the scenes work with the dad, but not all of them. Like that part
Yeah.
where they find out that she left. Like I think like when he's talking about his daughter, that I'm like, okay, that's a little heartfelt. But I think the beginning was too long when it was like doing the flashbacks.
Well, I mean, we spend way too much time with her as a child,
I was like, why
and
is this even in here?
yeah, like, none of that's in the original either, and it's just like, okay, well,
It
you
doesn't
know
add anything.
yeah, and then, like, her family life, like, in the present is weird too, because like, her dad has a different view. Like, they make her mom, like, a bitch for no reason, and then all of a sudden at the end, she's, like, really, like, emotional that she's returned. And her sister isn't really much of anything, like, as a character. Like, she doesn't have a sister in the original, but in this one, they gave her
Yeah.
one. But her sister's only real point is that there's a different reason for why the matchmaking scene goes so poorly, whereas in the original, it was because of the cricket, and here it's because her sister's afraid of spiders. I'm like, that's really the only like it's bad when I can see while I'm watching, like, "Oh, this is the only reason this character exists." Like,
Right.
this is a
Well, and
plot
also
convenience.
it like sucks cuz you know, I guess too like they're worried about Mulan being like a good candidate for marriage and they're like, "Oh, like she's not going to find a good husband this way." But low key the fact that she does have a sister takes kind of some of the pressure off of Mulan to find
Yeah.
a good husband cuz she's not the only daughter. Cuz
Yeah.
I feel like in the first one, it's like, "Oh, there's a lot of stakes here because not only like their family is small to begin with. They don't have any sons. It's just one daughter and it's Mulan. The responsibility on her to honor the family is much higher cuz she's the
Mhm.
only child and her leaving and doing what she did is even worse because she is the only child and say she does go and die, then there are no children left and her parents lose their only child and
Yeah.
there's no sister there to marry good anyway.
Yeah, I think that just speaks to how this movie fails overall, is that there's no stakes to anything. It doesn't feel like anything really matters in the end, and so that's why it's kinda hard to get invested because it's just like, I don't understand why any of you guys are doing this or why it's supposed to be important.
Yeah. It's just like a bummer to watch.
Yeah, I don't ever wanna watch this movie again.
No, I don't either. I messaged you right after I watched it and I was like, that was a hard watch. I did that
Yeah.
for you.
I it's, the only reason like I said, I remember distinctively disliking this movie when I first saw it, but somehow watching it the second time, it's worse. Like,
Yeah, I would never watch it again. I would never watch it
yeah.
again. Cause like
Like,
I don't know. And like there's something, when you watch like a Disney movie, there's like even I guess like maybe more so when you're a kid, but there's some element of like, Disney magic to it and like something that makes you feel good, right? Not much of that
yeah.
here.
The Disney magic has been lost for some time now.
And that is true. I was gonna say, like, honestly, whenever I watch a Disney movie now, I don't feel any
I
Disney
mean,
magic.
most of the magic to be found in the Alice in Wonderland remake or the Jungle Book comes from the people who were spearheading those movies. And, like,
Exactly.
this movie clearly feels like it was made up by a committee just to make a quick buck. And the unfortunate thing is
Exactly. And
that
knowing
these
what I
movies
know
do
about
well.
how Disney runs. Yeah, they
These
do.
movies do well, and they've been making them, and they're gonna keep making them unless something changes. I kind of want Snow White to flop
They're
because
gonna keep
I I don't wanna watch these movies anymore, really. I didn't watch Peter Pan and Wendy because I didn't care.
Oh, I forgot
Um,
about that one.
I'm trying to remember what other ones I saw. Sorry, my dogs are barking in the background. I think someone just came home.
I see.
I'm trying to remember. There was
Let's see.
another
I'm
one
gonna
that
pull up a full list.
well, I
Disney
didn't I
live
didn't
action.
want to watch The Little Mermaid, but I was kind of forced into it.
I liked
Um,
that one. It wasn't that bad, but I feel like with any of them, they're not like movies that I like return to on repeat. Like I would rather just
mm,
watch the original. You know what I mean?
yeah, I didn't watch, The, Lady and the Tramp one that was straight to what's called
Oh,
I didn't watch Pinocchio.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I
And
think
Pinocchio. I actually low key, I guess I don't watch all of them.
mm,
I and I know you didn't you watch Dumbo?
unfortunately.
Because Dumbo I heard was a little bad.
It's not a little bad, it's a lot bad.
I
Most of that movie is pretty bad. It's not as bad as Mulan, but it's not that much better. The
Lady
Tim
and the
Burton
Tramp
magic
is
was lacking in
interesting.
that one too. I've seen most of them, it's just that,
I liked the ones that I enjoyed enough. Cinderella, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. I think that's it.
I liked
I
Maleficent when it came out.
I haven't seen those.
Beauty and the Beast was pretty decent.
I liked it, and I was a huge, huge Beauty and the Beast fan as a child. Like I loved Belle, and that one was pretty good. And they always like add new songs into the new ones. The new song was pretty good. And the Little Mermaid, I except for the I don't have anything to defend
Squadron
about
or
Aquafina. Yeah. I don't have anything to defend about that. That's the undefendable part of that movie for me. Like
yeah.
that song that she sings is bad, but the new one that Prince Eric sings, that one is good. I like that one.
Mm.
Like I said, I think they like make the romance like deeper in the Little Mermaid, and I just like I don't know. I think all the actors did a good job.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just there's some that you can kind of tell that Disney got lucky in terms of who they hired to lead the charge on them. Like they clearly liked the original and, wanted to do it justice. And then you've got people like, this Nikki Caro who clearly I can't even say for sure if she ever actually watched the original, but it doesn't feel like it.
No.
But
No.
I don't know. I just yeah, I don't I really like the original Mulan, and so this one was a really big disappointment when I saw it.
It
And it
sucks.
hurts even more now to have to rewatch it. It's like rubbing salt in the wound. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
would be so pissed if I paid $30 to see that.
thank God I did not have to pay to see this because I saw
Yeah.
it when it was free.
Yeah,
What did I give this? I think I gave this a 1.5 stars. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, I'm gonna.
I
Yeah,
gave it 1.
the half star is really only for Ming Na Wen, and I guess visually it's not the most atrocious. I mean, obviously, like the action scenes are shot poorly, but it's fine. I guess I could
Yeah,
see most of what was happening. It's just not edited well together, and the color grade didn't really annoy me that much, and neither did the lighting. But the music wasn't really that memorable except for when they were referencing the original soundtrack.
yeah.
And I'm trying to think what else. Is there anything else good about this movie? Not really. Yeah, I think that's kind of about it. Um,
Yeah, I just gave it a flat out 1. I
what
was
was
like,
what was
"Good."
what did you say about it? What was your review? I don't remember.
I wrote, "Good God, why did white people write and direct this?"
Yeah.
Just because, like, that's it's just very apparent, and I think it's really silly that they were like, "Oh, we're trying to, not offend the Chinese culture by putting Mushu in the movie," because they said that Mushu was really well received in the US, but not so much in China. I'm like, "Okay, if you're not trying to offend the Chinese culture, why did you do what you did?"
I don't
Because
think
what it
there's
is I don't
anything.
think good either.
Well, because there were other things about the original movie that the China like they weren't received well in China, and it wasn't just Mushu. Like some of the um fuck, what's the word? Like the gender stuff, like they were like, yeah, that we don't like that. Some of the um like even like the sort of like honor to the family thing, I think that one also like that aspect also wasn't received well. Like those things are still in this movie, and so it's just like, well, clearly that wasn't the reason why, or I don't know.
Yeah.
This is just a really awful movie.
Yeah, it's just tough. And like, man, I don't know. Before we started, we were kind of talking about Snow White. We were like, "Oh,
That's
I'm
one I'm not looking
scared."
forward to watching, but I think I'm gonna
Cuz
have
we're
to.
both yeah, we're both going to go see it. I
I'm not gonna pay to go see that. I'm gonna wait until it comes out on Disney Plus.
That's fair. I'm going to go, which controversial choice, but I'm curious. And also I feel like not there hasn't been like a ton out in the past like month or whatever, so I'm kind of
Yeah,
itching to go to the movies.
I don't know.
But which like I have like I think 3 other movies before in
Mhm.
my list before I want to go see that. But I am like curious to see like I don't know how the costumes look and like which like I don't know, judging from the pictures not awesome. I just
Yeah,
don't I'm just dying to know what they look like in action. And I also am scared to see what the dwarves are like.
I don't know. Everything that I've seen about the movie makes me think that it's going to be bad, and that's
It
why.
didn't get a great Rotten Tomatoes IMDb score.
I mean, that's why I personally don't wanna go see it in theaters, on top of the fact that I've gotten to the point in my life where I don't wanna contribute toward, Disney making these poor
That's
decisions.
valid.
And so if I'm gonna spend money to go see a movie, I wanna go see a movie that, 1, I actually wanna go see, and 2,
I get that.
I wanna contribute to. Like Mickey 17, like, that's a movie that
Yeah,
I'm going to go see, and I want to contribute to its box office.
me too. I proudly gave them my money yesterday. I liked it. It was good. And it sucks because that one I think is bombing at the box office, and it really should not be. It sucks. Everybody who I talked to about it, who's not a film person, didn't know it was coming out, and that sucks. They were like, "What is that?" I was like, "Man." But yeah, and then like, I think isn't Lilo and Stitch supposed to come soon?
Yeah, I didn't like the trailer that they released. Like, I was kind of interested, but then I saw the trailer and I was like, "Ah, this doesn't look like it's gonna do anything good."
Yeah, I'm impressed by how Stitch looks, is what I'll say. I
Yeah,
thought that he was gonna look real bad, but he doesn't look real bad. And honestly, like I saw a couple interviews with the girl who plays Lilo. She's really cute. I hope
Disney
it's
doesn't
like
ruin her.
decent. Yeah, and like she's just like so cute. And like I saw a clip of her doing hula. I was like, oh, at least they actually like got somebody who's like from the culture, I guess.
Authentic. Well, I mean, there's, everyone in the cast from Mulan was, ethnically correct, but it still
True, which
wasn't
is what I
good.
told you. I was like, I guess at least there were Chinese people in it. But that's also the problem is like behind the camera, there weren't Chinese people involved.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't somebody, I guess maybe because like Chinese people don't like the movie.
I
But
mean,
I just,
I wouldn't have minded them bringing someone to be like, "Hey, this isn't what it actually, that's not what chi is." Tell
yeah.
have someone just
Like,
be like, "This is how it would actually be," just so it would be slightly better. And
and like, you can't just, like, this is not a movie that a team of white people should be working on.
nah, it's not. And, at least, regardless of how Mulan is not culturally accurate like the original one, at least that movie's
Yeah,
fun to watch. This movie is not fun to
it's
watch.
true.
I didn't like
It's not.
I
That's
enjoyed
something
watching
everyone can agree on.
Yeah, I enjoyed rewatching the Alice in Wonderland and the Jungle Book, but this one was just really tough to get through, and by the time it was over, I couldn't get out of my head how I had wasted, like, almost 2 hours of my life. Again.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I was like, you just feel like it's wasting your time because it is.
Yeah. It was a waste of time to make, and it was a waste of time to watch.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways, that about covers
Yeah,
our
Mulan, our
discussion of
gripes.
these yeah. Um, yeah, so, next week, Ryan should be back, and, we're supposed to talk about the X trilogy, the Ty West horror movies, 'cause,
Oh, nice.
Death of a Unicorn is coming out, and that's a A24 film. So we figured we'd do an A24, and the first X does have Jenna Ortega in it as well, and she's going to be in that movie. So I'm excited. I've never seen them. Ryan's seen them, and I know he has some thoughts.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm interested to see what I've heard things about them. So yeah, I guess that's all I'll say. But yeah, tune in next week when we talk about those movies and hopefully get things a little back on schedule. But yeah, thank you for joining us, and thank you again, Haley.
Yeah. Thank you.